Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of Bridge City. This is a Brisbane Roar podcast hosted by two brothers. We've both been Brisbane Roar fans since day one, and we started this podcast just over a year ago. And we just want to say hello to everyone. If you're a new listener, we'd love to hear from you and some of the comments on our socials. Look, let's get straight into it. Sam, we'll talk about the Sydney game in a second, but you've got a little bit of Brisbane Roar related kind of news. You want to tell us about who has entered the over 40s competition that you play in here on the Gold Coast?
Yeah, well, I finished my game after having like 38 goals scored against me. Um, I even got out on the field, which was very foreign for me. And because my boots busted, I searched high and low, trying to find a size 13 in a boot that's wider is in fucking possible.
Hmm.
It's very painful trying to find. I went to about 19 different shops, couldn't find anything. So I played the whole game in runners. So I was that guy on the field. But yeah, we finished the game, and Kristen's like, "Oh, there's some guys over there that um, like everyone's taking photos with and stuff." And I looked over to where everyone sort of has their beers and whatnot, and yeah, Danny Tiado's just over there getting some photos, and I was like, far out. I was like, cool, that's so cool. We'll go and say good day, and went in and said hello, and then yeah, as I'm saying hello to him, a man puts his hand on my shoulder, and I turn around, it's Scott McDonald. I'm like, hey, are you guys playing? It's like, yeah, we just played. My God, so I have those two to contend against when I'm in goals now. So great,
Yeah,
awesome.
awesome. So like this is like completely unrelated to the podcast, but Sam actually plays over 40s football with a bunch of my mates from school who are also mates with some of Sam's mates. It's the Gold
Yeah,
Coast. It's very incestuous. Everyone knows each other, but yeah, and because Sam's under 40, he normally has to play in goals. So
yeah,
you've got Scott McDonald.
yeah. I've got some, like, I
Got to
mean,
you
the
look
team that
forward.
I've versed has got some good goal scorers, so I can't imagine having actual professional or ex-professional football players banging them against me because, yeah, I got nothing once it goes wider than my wingspan, basically, at the moment.
Oh,
So, yeah,
yeah,
I'm definitely not a goalkeeper. That's
you'll
the,
have to let me know when you're playing against Tiato and Scott
yeah,
McDonald, and I'll come
definitely,
out
yeah.
and I'll film it for the pod. We
Yeah, well,
can see.
the twins, I think, played against them. And yeah, every time I looked over, it looked like it was pretty heated.
All right, that doesn't
Yeah, so
surprise me,
it's yeah,
Danny
Danny.
Tiato.
Yeah. So
I
yeah,
just thought before we go any further, I've had like a really funny story about Danny Tiato. A few years ago, went to I'm not sure if I was with you or with I think I was with might have been with one of the boys that I was living with up in Brisbane at the time, maybe Woods. I can't remember who I was there with, but we went to Southport Sharks to watch a preseason game. It might have been an FFA Cup game. I can't remember, but yeah, Danny Tiato was standing there on the hill, and it was like sort of coming out of winter into spring, so the ground was a bit dewy, and this this guy with crutches was walking up the hill, and he slipped over and fell down and just slipped, and he went right past Danny Tiato, and Tiato's just standing there with the beer. This guy goes sliding down the hill beside him. He just looks at him and then looks up at the game and keeps drinking.
keeps going.
I was just like, oh, it was the best. It was so good.
No, it's
So
awesome
that's
seeing them around. So
yeah, yeah. So I'm pretty sure Tiato's involved with Kuma here
yeah, it
on the
must
Gold
be
Coast.
because I'm pretty sure Enrique's been down before as well. So
I think Enrique was possibly coaching it
yeah,
at Kuma as well.
well, he
Yeah.
was at Coombe, so we like, but I mean, he's been down to the over 40s as well.
Oh,
Yeah, on times that I haven't been there. So
oh
yeah,
man.
so they're in and around the club because it's very like it's got a like rich history, the legends. So they like yeah, they do get a lot of those sort of boys coming and going
Yeah, I
through it
know
all.
when we rock up to play futsal or like a
Yep.
variation of futsal on the coast a while ago, it was I can't remember his name. Last name was Rees, the defender. I think he came from Adelaide and went to Gold Coast United. He was still running that for
Yep.
Palmer United, whatever it was called then. So yeah, they're all still involved, which is really cool. And that's sort of like a bit of a good segue to get into the game on from
Yeah.
Friday night. I sent you the photo of
Yeah.
pre-game. They had a bunch of like we said it'd be awesome for them to get
Yeah.
some
Well,
of the older players
and
there.
it sucks because we got there a bit later than the start of the game, so we didn't get to see any of that sort of stuff either. So
Yeah, so it
kind of
was
sucked.
Ronaldo, I think
It was like four guys. Yeah.
Remo Buis, I think.
I did have it up before, but
Uh,
it's gone now.
Tom Willis and Chad Gibson was there
Yeah,
obviously, and
Chad just yeah.
yeah, and someone else who I can't remember off the top of my head, but I thought it was pretty cool that Ronaldo was there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
that's a name that like had gone from the memory banks. Like I just and as soon as I saw the photo, I was like, oh, no
yeah,
way.
it was good to see him there for a game against Sydney as well because I remember he
Yeah.
scored an absolute belter against Sydney all those years ago. Well, yeah, that's a bit of the segue for us into that game, mate. We, like you said, we got there late.
Yep. Unfortunately,
They
6:30 starts are very hard to get to from the Gold Coast.
Yeah, from the Gold Coast. I mean, I finished work at 3 o'clock, and I still didn't manage to get to your place until
Yeah.
close
What
to
was it?
five or
Five.
4:30,
Yeah.
quarter to five or something. So yeah, and we got there what about probably 10 minutes into the game, 15
Yeah,
minutes.
it was only 10 minutes in. Yeah, it wasn't. We did pretty well for what we parked pretty close, and yeah, we got lucky, I think.
Well, that's one thing that we talked about on Friday night. If any of you guys that are listening, girls, guys that are listening, if you've got any parking tips
Yes.
for anywhere near Suncorp on match day, that's not $50.
Well,
Um,
we managed to score. We did. What was it?
King George
King George
Square.
Square. Yeah, we scored that for $10, which is
Yeah,
pretty sweet. But I mean, walking from King George Square to, I mean, Parker did very well. But a little 5-year-old walking that distance is always fun.
yeah,
Um,
potentially we're going to have a 5-year-old and then a 65-year-old with
yes,
parking.
that was the real. Yeah, that was what I was going to get to. Is yeah, as soon as you add the invalid in with us, it becomes even harder. We need to get
Yeah.
him a one of those e-scooters and teach him how to ride it.
So if anyone's got any tips on how we can possibly get some cheaper parking close to the stadium, because our dad's got Parkinson's, we don't want
Yeah.
him
But I mean, we
to
can
deal with
always, yeah, what I was thinking of, what we did at the NRL time, I dropped people off, then I would go and park, and
on
then
park. Yeah.
yeah, I've done that a couple of times, so probably try that with Dad
All right. Well,
because we could,
that's probably enough parking talk for this
yeah,
podcast. All right, let's get into the game, mate. We were there, like we said, 10, 15 minutes into the game. Seats right beside the Den, which is awesome this year.
yeah, so good.
It's good to see the
I'll
Den
put
full.
up on the socials a couple of videos as well.
Yeah, awesome.
I've neglected to do that this week, but I'll be doing them yeah weekly now. But yeah, I've got my son dancing along to Bouncy Bouncy, and
Yeah, cool.
yeah,
Oh,
and
that's one thing that I think
they changed the lyrics.
if anyone from the Den is listening, you guys, we're in the 20th year anniversary of the club. You guys have got to learn. You got to know the songs properly. You don't
Bouncy
sing
Bouncy
bounce.
Bouncy Bouncy
You,
Bouncy 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 Bouncy.
you don't
So
sing bouncy
is
for
this
two
record
minutes.
on repeat?
Yeah, it's bouncy, 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 Brisbane
Brisbane
Roar.
Roar.
That's the way it goes. All right, just saying. So for Capo, if you're listening, that's the way the song goes. That's the way we want to hear it from now on. All right, mate. Look, that first half, even though we missed the first 10 minutes, we didn't miss much by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
First half was pretty bad.
Yes, it was a bit woeful, which seems to be our thing is we really need to find a way to get into a game quicker.
Mm.
We have this really slow start to our games at the moment
Yeah,
because I really like the lineup too. So I was excited. I
yeah,
think coming
yeah.
into this match to think, yeah, we're going to actually give it to them, but no, we sort of sat back a bit and
Oh, for the whole
let
game.
them come to us.
Yeah, well, I mean, the stats reflect that very
Yeah,
much so.
it's very true.
But it's once again, mate, like we touched on with the Auckland game, starting the season with an unbalanced back line.
Yep.
We had that first game we had Waleed Shaw playing in centre back. This week it was a completely different back line. Or not completely different, but we had Hussein Billity in there for the
Yeah.
first time. Young fella, his first professional start, and he played 90
Yeah,
minutes. He got found out a few times, unfortunately, which led to some goals. But yeah, once again, it's like, it's 2 games in a row where we haven't had the same backline starting. Bit concerning. But like you said, mate, just standing off the whole game.
just no one wants, and really, really obviously is when they're attacking us, our backs. No one comes to them. It's
No.
like we have no trust in the person that's behind you.
Yeah. Or
Yeah,
beside you. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
just got to come up and close that gap. It was just, yeah, really painful, especially live, seeing it from behind. So seeing it from the goalkeeper's point of view, it was, yeah, really, really telling.
Yeah.
Watching them back off, and you're just watching them run towards you, and you're like, you've got to shut that gap down and get, like, even if you're the last man, you come in, you close the gap to make the move. Don't let
Yeah.
them decide.
Yeah.
You
Don't
make
let
their
them
decision
dictate it.
for them. Yeah.
You got to try and shepherd them one way or the other, or try and cut
Yeah.
down an angle. Yeah, it was very passive. So let's have a quick look at the way that the team lined up at the start.
Yep.
Well, just a quick one on Sydney. I mean, 3-2 in the end, which I think against Sydney at the moment it was really fucking sucked to lose in the last
Oh,
minute of the
did it
game.
hurt?
But I going into this game, I thought we were going to be on the end of at least 5 or 6 nil.
Well, we're
So, but
probably lucky that there was a couple of omissions from them. So
exactly, no,
yeah,
no Lolly, no Costa.
yeah,
But let's go through. I mean, you look at the way that they've got it set up on the Google lineup; it's really weird.
yeah. 4 2
uh,
2 2.
but once again, like it's a changed back line. Walland and Van der Sar were the only two that were in there in the first game. Then you had
Yeah,
Billity and Corey Brown. So Brown on the left and Van der Sar on the right. And then in front of them you had Waleed Shaw and Jay O'Shea.
yeah.
I thought Shaw had a great game.
It was brilliant. Yep.
Yeah,
I was kind of bummed that they took him off, but I feel like him and Waddingham just looked like they were dead
yeah,
towards the
they
end of each half.
they were chasing everything and running
Yeah,
after everything. But yeah, for me, Shaw was really really good. Yeah, very very promising for the rest of the season. And in that position that we were talking about last week, made in front of the defense, he
yeah,
looks he looks great. And I think that Zadkovic is going to have to find the balance with him and O'Shea. We'll get to that in a sec. Let's look at the
yeah,
rest of the lineup. So in front of them, then you had Gilroy listed on the right and Jelicic on the left, and then Halloran and then Waddingham. And
yeah.
yeah, it felt like um, the game sort of didn't really come to life until Florent Berenguer came on in the second half. When
So yep,
lo and behold, we had a creative playmaker in the midfield, and things started happening.
yeah.
Like we were. You mentioned it first in the game, and we mentioned it in the Auckland podcast. Like, what's happened to Jay O'Shea this year, mate?
Yeah, he was definitely behind the eight ball. Like it was more the like it was more telling in the first half, but even in the second half, you could see bits and pieces where he just balls aren't going to people, and then that long
Oh
cross that he put to no one, and there was
no,
just, yeah,
look,
those
that was
few
yeah,
things were just,
that
yeah,
that was
bit
sorry, man.
odd for him.
Yeah, that was the. I think that was the moment that you and
Mm,
I sort of looked at each other, and you said, like, "What's going on with O'Shea?"
yeah,
Like that because that play that got up until that point,
yeah, it
it had
was
shifted
gorgeous.
from the left, and there was like one touch football across the park, opened Sydney up, and then I think we had Halloran and a couple of the other
Yeah,
guys.
I think we had three of them. We had Gilroy, Halloran, and Waddingham
Yeah,
all
and then
moving.
O'Shea just gets the ball,
He crossed
pivots
it to no
without
one.
looking, and kicks it to no
Yeah,
one. Like, yeah, very very weird. Like, I'm wondering if maybe the captaincy, like maybe a bit too much responsibility for him. Maybe he's
maybe, yeah.
trying to do too much, but in trying to do too much, he's not doing. He hasn't done
Yeah,
anything. He hasn't
they're
done
doing
much.
fuck all.
Yeah, first 2 games very concerning. I mean, he's a great player. So I think
Yeah,
Zadkovic has got to figure out the balance. I think he has to possibly look at like we're always going to compare any Raw team to
the
Ange's
Royal Salona, yeah.
the Raw Salona. you had Partaloo at the back
Yeah,
playing that number eight, um, defensive mid that could distribute the ball, that wasn't afraid to get the ball and run into the midfield to get the
yeah.
ball to a midfielder. I think O'Shea and Shaw are going to have to work on their partnership there a little bit because it's really,
Someone's got to be more dominant. That's what the problem is. They're both
yeah,
trying to, oh no, you can do that. Oh no, you can. And that's what it felt like is
yeah,
not trying to step on each other's toes when realistically O'Shea should be the one that's
yeah.
in control. And yeah,
I mean, and
that's everyone else should feed off him.
you saw with that goal, the Waddingham's goal, like all it
Yeah,
took, Berenguer just putting his foot on the ball, turning, putting it, making space for himself, and then that ball,
yeah,
oh, that ball that he played through to Waddingham. But that's the difference, and that's the kind of role that like O'Shea should really be playing when he's out there. Like he's got the ability to pick those passes and to make that
yeah.
space. It's just frustrating that he seems to be playing so far deep, and I don't know, very frustrating. Um, yeah, so let's have a quick think about think. I haven't watched the replay of the game.
Yeah,
I just watched the quick highlights just before, mate, and I think it was the first Sydney goal, where I can't remember if it was the first or the no, it was the first Sydney goal, from their one of their new imports. It was really bad communication defending between Warland and Billity.
yeah,
They were kind of staggered, and that's where Billity, I think, had come up. Warland hadn't gone with him, or maybe Billity had moved up when he wasn't meant to, and created the space for I can't remember his name. And yeah,
was it
then
Kamala?
Billity, yeah, Kamala, yeah,
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 Klimala. That's his
Klimala,
name.
yeah,
I'm just looking
yeah,
up now.
and he sort of Billity found himself, on his heels and just went past him like a turnstile
Yeah,
and banged it in, and then their second goal was again like I mean it was a great goal that touch the finish was great, the early finish, but once again they just waltzed through the defensive line.
they just stood off like you. I've got it up here now. So it goes. So they've got the ball over on their left hand side. There's one, two, three defenders behind the ball as it gets passed backwards. Then each man seems to be pretty much man marked. That he then advances from that position where there was three men in front of him, just walks through them. No one seems to go like or has any urgency to go towards him.
Yeah,
Um, the backs are all man marking, so they can't really leave their man to come forward to him. But then he drags one of the defenders off the other play off center, and center he just literally just yeah drags that player off, and then as soon as he drags him off, even though he's got the ball, no is they pass the ball. Oh, my job's done.
yeah,
He
yeah,
passed the ball, and it was just like, well, yeah. Watching it from the other angle, it's even worse. You just I can't see who it is. Pardon me. I can't see who it is, but he's just my job's done. Stops.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
It's
horrible,
it's
horrible. Yeah,
both games. Some of the defending and just the play in general has been really passive and very un-Brisbane
yeah.
like. I want to see him get stuck in a little bit more. And they
And
they
and we
started to,
we started to yes, that was one very big positive that I took from it is we did actually start to get. But that's it. We've got to be able to do that for 98 minutes.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, and they need, yeah. We're talking about sort of like that's the mental resilience
yeah,
kind of, like they have to be switched on for the whole game. And you got to be switched on as soon as you've scored a goal. Like
yeah,
that
exactly. Like,
sucker punch from Sydney just took the oxygen right out of the game and out of the stands. Like you felt it as soon as Sydney scored that goal. Like the den was up, everyone was raucous, and then it was just like, fuck, here we go again. Like just so I know they got a bunch of young boys, but they're playing pro football now. They got to switch on.
Yeah. Well,
Zatkovic has
it's
got to knock that into him.
yeah. Get
Um,
angry. Get mean.
well, oh, I just hang on a sec. Sorry, just a leaguing it once
What'd you
again.
do?
I just
Didn't plug in.
no, I just exited out of the stats that I had opened up.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
So
I'm.
talking
I'm.
about how passive we were, mate. Like we
Yeah.
played at home at Fortress Suncorp Stadium, and we had 32% possession.
Yep. And
Just
I feel like I feel like that was sort of flattering. The 32%. Like it really felt like everything that we did was on counterattack.
yeah, yeah,
And then there was that two or three times where we had that possession where we played it out from the back and it actually looked really nice.
yeah. A couple of times.
But yeah, apart from that, like we had what 280 passes to
Yeah,
their
I think
600.
in the
Like,
Auckland game, I
oh,
think we had like 700 or 800 or 600 or something like that.
yeah, well, we did all right with possession in that one.
Yeah, so it's like a swing in the opposite direction from the Auckland game.
It
But I mean,
was
unfortunate as it is, I think that was always going to be the case against Sydney because they are looking pretty good.
yeah, 571 passes we had in that 60% possession.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And it's unfortunate, but we've got it's pretty much a new team, a whole bunch
yep.
of players that are going to have to get used to playing with each other. But it's the start of the season. We're 3 rounds in, two games down for us, and down the bottom of the ladder. So things are going to have to change pretty quick. Um,
Boom.
otherwise, Zadkovic is going to find out. I think what a poison
Oh
chalice the
yeah.
Brisbane Roar manager's job has been for the last 18 months. Um,
So
what else have we
after
got there
after
in
that, we've
stats?
that's now 4 games that we've lost in a row too.
Oh, really?
Ugh, yep.
Including last year? Yeah, right.
We have not won in our last 6 matches.
Oh, wow.
Fuck, man.
Yeah.
And the
Yep.
last time Brisbane Roar conceded three or more goals in a match was in July against Perth in the Cup. So it wasn't even that long ago that we got dust. And for the week coming for Melbourne Victory,
Mhm.
um, the last time we played them, it was actually 0-0. So
Uh, I don't think I don't
that
think it's going to
might
be
that
nil
might
all.
be a bit of a yeah, might be a
I
bit of
would
change there.
I would be very surprised if the game against Melbourne Victory ends with no goals.
The stats are such a weird thing. It's like Melbourne Victory have not won in their last 4 matches when they've hosted Brisbane Roar.
Yeah.
So there's lots of those little things that are the little hoodoo things. So maybe we're at their home ground where we do have a bit of a hoodoo on them in the last couple of years. So
I don't
there
know.
you
I
go.
think it's
Doesn't
yeah,
feel like it.
doesn't feel. I mean, having said that, I didn't even think we'd get close to Sydney on Friday night.
It's true.
We had 32% possession and almost drew the game, which is really a really sad thing to say about
Yeah. Yeah.
Brisbane at home, especially against Sydney. Like, and that's getting back to the attitude. Like that's something that these players should know that Sydney is the game.
Yep.
If
That's
there's
it.
one game in the season that you're going to get a red card or that you're going to get yourself in foul trouble, that's the
Yep.
game to do it in. We don't have a derby. We're not like Sydney or Melbourne,
Yeah, we don't have a second
or
team.
Wellington and Perth. We don't have a derby, and Sydney's our team. They're our enemy. And the fact that they came to our home ground and walked all over us like that, um, not good enough. I think I saw during the week that they had Bessart Barisha and
Yep.
Shane Smelts popped in. Filthy Gold Coast United. Shane Smelts popped in
Still love him.
to training, and I really wish that Bess had been there in the week prior.
I know,
They,
hey, bit of guts
yeah,
to go in against Sydney.
get the video of him and Pascal Boschart. Didn't he show them
That's my
that footage?
that's my favorite clip on in A League history.
Yeah,
It's just come on, come
come
on.
on, come on,
Oh,
come on.
my favorite thing.
This is the
I love
best.
it.
And that's what games against Sydney. That's what it's meant to be like.
Yeah, true.
We hate them. The Den and all of the supporters, anyone above Tweed, above the Tweed hates Sydney, and
Yep.
hates anything to do with New South Wales, and I think they weren't up for it, which is really sad. what other
Well,
bright sparks have we got?
on the bright note, the anyone that was watching at home would have seen pretty much an empty stadium
Mhm.
in the footage, which really, really sucks. But I mean, Suncorp Stadium is positioned that way. So where the cameras are, that's where all your corporate areas are. That's where all your like main ticket sales are. So stadium ticket holders, all that sort of stuff, that's where they're positioned. So when we do close half the stadium so that we don't aren't spending 16 no, well, when not we don't break even until 16,000 people are in the stadium.
Yeah.
By closing half of it, I think it reduces it to just below the 8,000 mark. Um, so yeah, it's kind of sucked. But I mean, there was a storm, a pretty hectic storm. If you were living in Brisbane, you would have copped it.
Yeah.
We coming up from the Gold Coast, you wouldn't have known that there was even a storm. Um, we drove up sunshine, lollipops the whole way, and then we got to the stadium, and you wouldn't have known anything had happened when there's things on Twitter of tornadoes in the bloody Brisbane River. That's
Tornadoes in the
like
room.
what 2 kilometers from where we were.
Yeah, yeah.
It was yeah, it was kind of hectic to see that many people turn up, which was cool. It
Mm.
was I wasn't expecting that much. I was really expecting a really really quiet crowd.
Yep.
But yeah, all the people seemed to turn up, and Den was in full force, and my son loved it. He was amped by the end of it by yeah the little bum dance that he was doing in the car park. But he all week he's been bouncy bouncy, like that's just all he's been doing. Let's go Brisbane Roar, all this sort of stuff. So it's yeah, for the youngins, it was still amazing to go and watch, and
Oh,
I,
look,
I was really proud of yeah of the boys. So
the atmosphere was great. I mean, you know, eight and a half something thousand people in a 52,000 seat stadium.
yeah, it
You
does
wouldn't have
feel
thought
very
so.
empty.
It was great. It was yeah, it was good atmosphere. And they need to build on it. I don't know what the club's going to do to get people to come to games. They need something. We've spoken about it time and
Yeah,
time again.
a
They need
marquee player will do it.
a,
Like
a
that's
yeah.
Ronaldo's got to be retiring soon, doesn't he?
I mean, that's the kind of
We've
shit
got
they
we've got
need,
we've got billionaires there that could spend a
Exactly.
little bit of cash on him.
And I mean, like you've seen what's happened with Auckland. They've come in with a billionaire owner.
Yep.
Admittedly, he hasn't got like any massive names there, but he's put together a good
Yeah.
squad, a good club. Like they've got, like they seem like they've like got their active support, everything's sorted out. They've got like really, I don't know if you saw the ads that they were running in Wellington after the game after they won. I can't
No.
remember. It was something about maybe it was the name of the stadium or something that's got a W in it. Oh, they that's right. They're like Wellington. It just said Ellington. We're taking the
It's a
W back to
WF.
Auckland.
I love it.
Like that kind of shit. Like that. They've got their. It seems like they've got the business side of things kind of sorted out, and it
Yeah.
feels like after 12 whatever it is years that the Backeries haven't done fuck all really.
Yeah. That's what it feels
Yeah,
like.
I think the most probably the best piece of business that it looks like they've done is getting Strook
Yeah. What a
because
got the social media, got the yeah. I mean, he's really dragged a lot of support our way,
yeah,
so
yeah,
it's
and
cool
I
to
think
see.
I would be interested to see if he scores another couple of goals. I'd be interested to see what the shirt sales are like in Indonesia, like
Yeah, true. Yep.
because
Well, I
and that's the
mean, and the fact that we're looking after our own sales now, so you got to go through Amazon and stuff like that. So it would be very interesting to see.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing that can save a club, like that
Mm.
that kind of thing. And that's getting back to the marquee thing. That's where a marquee would
Yeah,
make an astronomical difference. And that's what it's just the fact of the matter. That's the way that Brisbane and Queensland people
yep.
are.
It's just always been the way for support. You
Yep,
you only show up when you're winning.
only
It's
show up when most Queenslanders will show up when they're winning, and we saw that in the Ange era. Then when
yep,
when we were getting 30,000 people to finals games, and then obviously the grand finals were always sold out,
sold
but.
out. Yeah,
And during those seasons when we were winning, we were getting over 15 up to 20,000 people,
yeah,
for all of those games. We're probably consistently around about 20,000 people.
yeah,
So yeah, but like you said, mate, like hats off to everyone who turned out
yeah.
because everyone had the excuse not to be there. Like that storm was hectic and it happened pretty much right on like around about 4:30.
Oh,
So when
it was like right just before we left. So
yeah,
yeah,
so
it
right
was
when people were finishing
insane.
work and getting kids home from school and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, pretty brutal. But like
And
just a
and
quick
and
sorry.
Suncorp Stadium, you can eat a doodle over the trumpeter being taken away. That kind of
Yeah.
sucks. Like, I mean, what exactly is he going to incite violence or drown out what noise? Like, I'm very
Yeah.
confused.
I'm not sure on the full story, but I remember last year, like I'm pretty sure he had permission from the club, and
Well, so what they were, I overheard the one of our marshals that we have, like, that sort of liaises between the security. He was saying, yeah, it's out of my hands. Like it's like, yeah, we've got permission, but it's out of my hands. And so I think there might have been, yeah, a little bit of a miscommunication, but they
Mm.
dealt with it well, and he didn't kick up a stink. No one else did. Everyone got on with supporting the game, and that's what I like to see as well, is the fact that it's the game's bigger than it. Who cares? Let's move on. Yeah,
Yeah, I thought it was pretty funny though. We noticed that when one of the balls got kicked
yeah,
into the den that they were keeping it, and that was them holding it for ransom until they got the
yeah.
trumpet back, but didn't get it back
No,
unfortunately. Look, we're talking about bright sparks for the game, mate. I think the real, like it was really good to see Waddingham score.
yeah,
First time that we got to see him score in
yeah.
person,
Live goal. That was lovely.
and almost scored a cracker as well straight after half time. That
Oh God, yeah, that would have been incredible if he got. Well, there was one at either end that were both crackers that missed. It was,
yeah,
yeah.
he's looking very very good. Only two games
So
in, and
so he'll be gone soon.
yeah, and I did notice. I think it was the post match press conference maybe where Zadkovic said that he's trying to get Waddingham to sort of become a bit more dynamic and work on those runs in behind, and
Yeah,
it worked a treat there the other night. So really really good to see how he's coming along. Hopefully Spurs or Ange comes along with a nice little pay packet for him eventually.
he
But
deserves it, man.
until
He's
then, I want to see him banging some goals in for us. And we have like we've mentioned it already, but it was so good to see Struik score
yeah, God,
first
yeah.
home game. It was a great, really well taken goal too. Like another really nice piece of team play, like that.
And
I can't remember.
I think it was off a loss.
It
Yeah,
was
like a shit
they
pass
shut
from.
they shut Sydney down on Sydney's left hand side. I can't remember who it was that did it, and
I'm
then
going to bring it up.
got played across, and yeah, like really unselfish play from whoever it was in the middle. Um, might have been Waddingham even who laid it off for Stroke.
Watching it, we can see us in the footage. Um, yeah, that was. I'm just watching the close up of it and just watching him turn and pass. Gorgeous.
Yeah,
So I like to see a bit of Viduka. Like that's who my brain always goes to. Like even if I'm up front, I just think, like, what would Viduka be doing in that sort of situation? Is he, because he was never a person to like just go straight through and smash you up the gut sort of things. He was always looking for the player near him to make a move.
yeah, yeah.
And yeah, it wasn't just I'm trying to turn and score and try and get others involved. So
Viduka was always three moves ahead of everyone else around.
yeah,
Like the way he'd position his body, and then his first touch would almost
yeah.
always put him into space or open something up for a shot or a through ball or a flick or something sexy. Uh,
I
he
just
was,
love. I used to love that when we had Foxtel and you could just they would just put on like those. Oh, I forget what they were called, but they were basically like old games, but they would break them down. So
yeah,
like instead of like watching a game that's just happened on the weekend, they'd go back into the books and watch them. It was always Aussie boys doing it, so they'd always pull up old Aussie footage. And I'll never forget the Viduka one where he got like 4 assists in the one game, didn't score a goal, got man of the match for the match, and yeah, and assisted in 4 of them, and they're all like just 3 touches from him in a play, and he's the man that's up the front by himself.
yeah,
He's
yeah.
not. Yeah, he should be the one going and scoring, but he's not. Feed it. get it twice, get it off to another man. It was, yeah, it was. I'll never forget watching that one.
He was great to watch. And I think any Aussie striker, any young Aussie striker should just be forced to watch
Yep.
as much footage of Viduka when he was at the NSL for Melbourne, and then anything that they can watch overseas. And I think Waddingham, like he's completely different body type, and he's not as cultured. And
No,
I mean,
yeah.
no one is, no one's as cultured as Dukes, but he's got, like you said, mate, he's got a little bit of that in him. Like he's got the
It's just yeah. What from? I don't know so much on watching it on the TV, but watching him like because I was pretty much watching the two of them up front, watching Haller and watching him for as much of the game as I could because I just wanted to see if it was the front not sort of being there for the balls to come through. And yeah, so I was concentrating on them a lot, and yeah, he just yeah is always finding that little spot to sit in. He's yeah sits in the pocket well, and yeah, I just was yeah really cool to see him live and yeah doing what he does, which you don't really get to see on the TV. Which is the same with most forwards. You don't get to see a lot of what they do on TV.
yeah until
You
they
see them
drop back.
scoring, and you see yeah that's it. But
Yeah,
there's yeah it's yeah different ball game when you're watching it from in front of you. I think yeah, good vantage point too where we stand in behind the goals there because you can see the layout of the game, and because
yeah,
Suncorp's got such a good little elevation, you get that perfect view over the top of everyone's heads. So I love it.
yeah. It was awesome. It was really good to see him. Like up close and in person for the first time. I mean, I saw him live last year because we didn't go to many games last
No,
year. And I got to see him in that preseason, the FFA or the Australia Cup game against the
yeah,
Wanderers. And yeah, he looked very promising then. And yeah, hopefully it's going to be a big season for him. We're going to need him to score a shitload of goals. And we'll see what happens in that period, the Christmas transfer period, New Year transfer period, to see if they're going to get a number 10 or someone in. Because, I mean, Berenguer was great, but he's 37 or whatever he is, and O'Shea's
yeah,
36, and they're going to have to they're
yeah.
going to have
Gonna
to
have
get
to.
a playmaker in. Yeah. All
Gonna
right,
force
so
us to. So
so we got Melbourne victory this
Melbourne
weekend.
victory. Yep.
What's your prediction?
Well, as long as it lines up like it was last week, I'm going to go with either probably 1-1 draw
Okay.
or a 2-1 Melbourne victory win. That's sort
Uh,
of where I'm leaning towards.
I'm going to be a pessimist, and I'm going to think I think we're probably looking down the barrel of maybe 4 or 5 goals with must maybe hopefully maybe picking one, like maybe I think Waddingham maybe for a goal, and unfortunately I think Victory looking pretty good. Very
Yeah, yes, yeah, yeah, that's true. Like, but I mean, they've beaten MacArthur 2-1 and Melbourne City 3-1. So I mean, it's one of those ones where I'm sort of like, well, the like Melbourne City game that was awesome. I think that was their game that they played. But even like that MacArthur game, yeah, they as long as they don't turn up and play to their potential. That's what I'm yes.
oh yeah,
Their
like
potential,
Mashash
their
and
potential will be 4 or 5 goals.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but yeah, they just haven't sort of clicked up front, which is scary.
yeah.
It was the same
No,
with Sydney FC. I felt the same way with Sydney FC. They hadn't quite clicked up front, and then they completely changed their front and still managed to beat us. So,
yeah, yeah. But before we go, mate, I thought last season we used to read off some of the comments that we get on
yep,
Twitter. That reminds me, we'll
and
use that
YouTube.
as a reminder for ourselves that we need to get an X and a Threads and an Instagram and everything up and running properly.
Yes, yeah, we'll do that properly. Yep,
And when all of that is up and running, you guys just keep an eye out in the show notes. There'll be links to everything that we've got. Sam's got a TikTok up for the
yep.
um, for the
Which we
pod.
didn't go live because we were rushing to get to the stadium,
Yeah,
and everything just happened so quickly. at that night that I didn't quite. Oh, because I was going to go live so you could watch the den and all that sort of stuff. But
Go live
yeah,
on a couple of corners when we're attacking
yeah.
the
So
our end.
I'll do that next time as
But
well.
I've just thought I'd quickly mention we did have a couple of comments on YouTube.
Yep.
So on the this was going back to the first episode of the season. And Dom from Dom's Ball Chat, he said, "Great to see you guys back. Oh, great to see you back, guys. Great news with the baby Sam. And as a fellow sufferer, Andrew, look after yourself and keep good people around you. And much appreciated from both of us for that comment, Dom. Thank you very much, mate. We hope to catch up with some of you guys at the games too, by the way. So when you see Sam going live on TikTok, try and figure out where we are and come and grab us and say g'day.
Yeah. I'm always wearing the orange hat too. So,
Yeah.
and I've got generally got a 5-year-old hanging off me that's whinging. So it's easy to find. So.
And I'll typically have a black t-shirt on because that's pretty much what I've worn for about the last 20 years. Then we've got Jonathan Hockley. He commented and he said, "Great to hear you guys again. Looking forward to watching your next show reviewing the Auckland game." So we hope I haven't read the comments yet, John, but hopefully you watched that video as well. I'm no longer on X, so it's great that I can still get raw content and interaction without having the guilt of being on an Elon platform. Well and truly understand what you're talking about, mate. It sucks on Twitter, and I wish that Elon Musk had never gone anywhere near it. Yeah, Sam replied to him, and Jonathan replied back, and he says that disappointing. Talking about threads, he said that it's disappointing that the club are not active on the platform. So that's interesting that the
Yep.
club is it's starting to pop off on threads, and I
Yeah,
think
I'm seeing it more and more now. So
especially given what happened in the States on the weekend, I think a lot of people are going to be turning away from anything that's got to do with Elon Musk. So
yep.
Threads could be the spot. And he says Acosta looks like the real deal, so he will probably leave at the end of the year. And that's pretty true. He said, looking forward to a stronger starting 11 at home next week.
Yeah.
It was, yeah, kind of
Closer to our normal, closer to what we're going to see all year anyway.
Yeah, yeah. So if you guys are listening on Spotify or Apple or a handful of the other podcasts that we're available on, please don't forget that we've got a YouTube channel as well. This year we're putting all of these episodes up on YouTube. Just I guess it's it's youtube.com/Bridge City Podcast. So you should be able to find it that way.
Yep.
Just search Bridge City Brisbane Roar podcast and it should come up. You should find it. And Sam and I are going to work on posting some YouTube specific content this year as well.
Yeah.
When we eventually
Oh
get around
wow,
to
it
it.
really darkens me off when I put it on that screen, doesn't it?
All right, well, mate, look, that's probably enough for this week. It's been
Definitely.
actually a slightly longer episode than what we thought it was going to be.
Always the
Um,
way we waffle on heaps. So.
yeah, yeah. So, have you got anything else you want to mention? Anything?
No, no, just we just yeah, definitely are going to try and yeah bring the socials up and have this out probably on a Monday. Yeah, so we'll probably try and do the Sunday night.
Yeah,
Seeing as every other night in the week becomes just way too hard with after work crap.
yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, I'm like well and truly back into the swing of things at the gym, and
yeah, definitely, yeah,
I don't get to the gym after work until around about 6:30, and my sessions typically go for about at least an hour and a half up to 2 hours. So it makes
yeah,
doing this a little bit tricky and trying to be consistent with it. But yeah, we don't, it's going to be hard to commit to a day to put it out. We'll try and do Mondays. Sometimes it might not be a Monday.
yeah.
It might be whenever it goes up. But um, anyway, all right. Well, look, guys, thank you very much for listening. I can't remember the episode number that we're up to
I
now,
think
mate.
at 27,
27 or no, this is episode 28.
28. There you go. Yeah, 28. Yep.
Cool. All right. So that's been episode 28. I'm Andrew.
I'm Sam.
Thank you very much for listening to Bridge City Podcast, guys. Give us some love wherever you listen on any platform. Give us reviews, thumbs up, whatever it is that you can do. We appreciate it. And share it with a Brisbane Roar mate that you've got who might not have heard of us yet. Cheers.
Peace.